Hey everybody, it's Patrick. It's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays I talk about long hair. An idea that gained popularity a few years ago was going without shampoo. This whole no poo method, this no shampoo method, the conditioner only method is something that gained traction because a lot of people with longer hair tended to see their hair dry out, and they wanted to take measures to have their hair not dry out and to not put their hair through so many different chemical processes in their daily lives. One of the practices that came out of this was using baking soda and apple cider vinegar for your hair. It really gained traction a couple of years ago, and it still is a question that I get quite frequently in the comments, and I see in searches when I look up for new ideas for this hair channel. So I thought that I would go over the pros and cons of baking soda and apple cider vinegar. Now, to understand why people would use baking soda and apple cider vinegar, you have to understand how hair works. Hair is made up of a number of different layers that all lay on top of each other, sort of like shingles in a house or scales, and they can either be opened up or they can be laying flat. And most of what makes them lay flat or open up has to do with the pH balance of your hair. If your hair is more alkaline, then those layers will open up, allowing dirt to get out and also dirt to get in. That also means that your hair is going to feel frizzier, it's going to feel a lot rougher, because as you're moving along a hair, if everything's open like that, you're going to feel it. It'll feel much rougher. Whereas if it's laying flat, it's going to feel smooth. You can get a brush or a comb through it. It's just easier, silkier. It's not going to tangle up in itself. So with an alkaline, you are basically opening up these little shingle-like structures in your hair, allowing dirt to escape. And then when you make your hair a bit more acidic, they lay flat again. The pH balance of baking soda is very alkaline. That is something that would open up your hair shaft and allow you to remove dirt. It also is quite abrasive, which means that as you shampoo it, or not shampoo it, I guess, as you move that across the strands of your hair, it could shake out some of that dirt on your hair. And so doing so is something that it's definitely economical. Baking soda is not very expensive. A little bit of it goes a very long way because you have to dilute it absolutely in order to make it safe for your hair at all. And it's also something that doesn't have things called surfactants, which are the detergents that most shampoos use to remove dirt and oil from your hair. Apple cider vinegar is a natural product, and it is very acidic, and so it has a lot of the same qualities of baking soda in terms of being less expensive. It's easy to find. You don't really have to worry about a different kind of brand because apple cider vinegar is pretty much apple cider vinegar wherever you get it. A very little goes a long way because you also need to dilute it quite a bit because it is very acidic and you don't want to pour it directly on your hair. And it also is something that is going to not contain things that you might not want in a conditioner, such as excess oil or silicone or any of that. Now, those positives are pretty much outweighed, in my opinion, by the negatives. And those negatives are that the things that are missing from the baking soda and the apple cider vinegar. While I've heard a lot of people report really good results with apple cider vinegar, I have not heard anybody in my own personal experience that has used the baking soda to really great effect. They've either gone with shampoo and then apple cider vinegar, or shampoo and conditioner and a little bit of apple cider vinegar once in a while. Those who have been on the baking soda method usually report that it takes a very long time for your hair to even itself out, which is something that I'm not really sure if that's something that happens or if people just get more used to the way their hair looks and feels with this new regimen. It also, if you're getting rid of the surfactants or any sort of the soap or detergents in a shampoo, what you're relying on in order to scrub your hair is basically the scratchiness of your baking soda. So basically, it's sort of like taking a really small irritant and rubbing it across your hair while your hair is most vulnerable. When it is wet, which makes it more elastic and more prone to breakage, and when all of the fibers of your hair are opened up, meaning that you can split the ends really quickly. Also, baking soda, while it is something that you can eat and it's something that's found in most people's kitchens, it is not a natural product. And I see a lot of people talking about wanting to use only natural products. And sometimes people tend to mistake natural for edible. There's a lot of edible things that are not at all natural. I don't think that you've seen a gummy bear tree anywhere. So, and the chemical process for making baking soda is quite harsh. Baking soda in its just raw state is a very harsh alkaline, and it can cause some real damage to your skin and to your hair. The amount that you have to dilute it is quite diluted, and there don't seem to be any real guidelines on how much to dilute it, so you are always at risk of not diluting it enough and really drying out your hair. Apple cider vinegar is also a very strong acid. It's not like a hydrochloric acid or something that would eat through your skin right away on contact, but it is something that will cause your hair to dry out. Also, any sort of acid like that, like citric acid, such as you would find in lemon juice, is something that you can use to bleach your hair. So if you're using apple cider vinegar and you haven't rinsed it out completely, and then you go out in the sun, you really risk not only your hair color, but also losing its glossiness and shine. So diluting it, once again, there aren't really any great guidelines on how much to dilute it. So it just relies kind of on this knowledge of the masses, you know, who do you believe and who you don't. And while I think that using apple cider vinegar is probably a little bit safer for your hair than using the baking soda, I think that the two in combination probably are going to do your hair a little bit more damage than good. And I think that if you're going to experiment with it, you should start with a very diluted solution of both and make sure that you rinse both out of your hair quite a bit with a lot of water afterwards, because you don't want to leave something in your hair that is possibly going to cause damage and irritation to your, not only your hair, but also your scalp, which is quite delicate. Now, I always say that what works for one person doesn't always work for anybody else. So if you have had really good success with baking soda and apple cider vinegar, or either one, please let me know in the comments down below and how it worked for you and what you use in terms of dilution, in terms of how often you use it, and what it did to your hair, and if you ran into any problems. I'm here every Tuesday talking about long hair. If you'd like to keep up with all of my updates, not only just the hair, but also all the other stuff that happens on this channel, you can subscribe down below. Thank you for joining me this time. I'll see you again next time.